had this stats class and we'd had this test, a multiple choice test, and I guessed for 80% of the test because I just couldn't figure it out.
Jola is the co-creator and co-host of I Said What I Said, one of Africa's most beloved podcasts.
Are you into big boom?
Who's ready to see FK and Jola now?
But before the sold-out shows in Lagos, London and New York, she failed her university module.
I failed the module. It was hell. There's failure and then there's banging. I banged and it was such a big gap. I told the university that, look, even if I do a resit, I will fail again.
She was a 19-year-old at university, convinced she would never make it.
But it was very painful to not be smart at university. It sounds stupid. That process of trying and still failing to pass. We're laughing now, but at the time, I used to cry to God that, guy, if you made this brain, let's get it popping. It was really, really difficult. And so I was just like, so yeah, you dumb broad. It's interesting to find out at 19. There's a guy who was in the room next to mine in our dorm. So I remember one day I went to him and I was like, I'm struggling with this. And he's just like, oh, that. And he starts writing and he's saying things. I'm hearing the words and they sound familiar.
It's not process.
I could not understand anything. And I just kept thinking, Jola, you can never make it.
Thank you very much, Jola. So we've been doing a lot of talking in the background anyway while my team was setting up. And you've been, I was going to say touching on your particular story. You're about to. So what is the failure story you're going to share with us today?
Okay, so I studied politics and philosophy at the University of Durham.
Yeah.
But it was originally politics, philosophy, and economics.
Oh, you're a PPE, babe.
Oh, whatever.
Oh my
But
God.
I only liked the wordy side of economics.
You know, people that do PPE tend to want to be leaders. Like they want to be like prime minister or president of a country. So did you have those kind of things?
We were slightly sociopathic, yes. But I liked the wordy side of economics. So imagine my shock when I started my degree and I was seeing math and stats and I wasn't good at it. And I'm unfortunately one of those kids who found school quite, I wouldn't say easy, but...
I mean, you got into Durham.
Yeah, I didn't struggle as much, right? And so I didn't struggle as much and I didn't have the interest. So I found the economics part of my degree extremely difficult, extremely. And I was more disheartened than most because I couldn't see a way forward. So I would study and study and study and study, and I just wouldn't do well. And let me tell you how bad it is. I'll never forget. We had this stats class seminar, and we'd had this test. But it was a multiple choice test. And I guessed for 80% of the test because I just couldn't figure it out, right? And I didn't want to go for the seminar after the test because it was the entire course that took this test. But you know, your seminar, you're in smaller groups, maybe 15 people max. I didn't want to go for that seminar because our tutor was quite a hard man. He wasn't like, stats is fun type of guy. He was,
he'll call you out.
Partially demonic, if you ask me. Guy had no joy and stuff. And he found me a little bit irritating because he was like, this girl seems smart, but why doesn't she just get this stuff? Or why isn't she? So I knew that, I was like, God, is going to be rough for me. So I didn't want to go to class. But I went and I remember he comes in and he like passed me on the back. And he's like, you got the best score. And so he wants us to talk about the...
Oh, God.
Hey! I just thought to myself, you fucked it. You're done.
Yeah,
like,
guessed.
How can you... Because even my classmates are like, oh my gosh, wow. I said, God. Shebi, I didn't want to come.
God.
If I hadn't come... Anyway, it doesn't get better. Let me just... it was just a downward spiral. I failed the module. It was hell. And then my dad is someone that's a big trier. My dad doesn't judge people based on you getting an A. To my dad doesn't mean much if you have the capacity to get an A star. He will always judge on your capacity. So he was the kind of person that would be proud of you if you are like at your optimum to the degree that you have it at whatever you're working on. So with my chemistry grades, he was never like, oh, but you can get an A. He was like, if you're an excellent B student, be an excellent B student, but you have to just be excellent to the capacity that you can be. So when I would say I'm finding things difficult, first of all, my parents imbibed a lot of delusion in me. So they would always be like, no, you can't do it. You're such a smart girl. Just work hard. So I felt like, it's like these people don't understand. And I banged. There's failure and then there's banging.
God.
I banged. And it was such a big gap. So I told the university that, look, we had to change this course because you don't understand. Even if I do a resit, I will fail again.
What part of the year did you tell them this?
This was second my
semester
second
of the first year.
First year, yes. And I was like, I will start my degree again. I can't, there is nothing here for me. I don't want to be a politician again. I don't want to lead. But I will. And it was really soul crushing. Also, I think a part of me was a bit disillusioned because I didn't want to go to a normal university. I wanted to go to film school.
What?
Yes, I wanted to go to film school.
And you did PP
and I
at
did
Durham.
PP at Durham. But think of it as a Nigerian parent. First of all, which stupid film school? This is 2010.
Yeah.
Which nonsense and dirty film school, first of all. Second, my dad was just like, you got into Durham, you got into, was it Exeter? Look, you've gotten into one of the top 10 universities in this country. You know, you are smart, you can work hard. This film school thing just a passing fancy. Like, free this thing. More so, you want to do film. It's 2010 in Nigeria. To do what? As how?
Yeah.
Like what? So I think my entire university experience, but particularly that part was very jarring. But at that point, I had failed though. But in my mind, I had already solidified that maybe this current tangent I'm on is not for me. So I need to start figuring out how I'm going to start maneuvering once I'm done with this first degree. From the beginning, but it was very painful to not be smart at university. It sounds stupid, but it was that process of trying and still failing to pass.
And you tried everything.
Yeah, I did. I won't say everything, but I was shocked at how difficult it was to do.
What did you do for A-levels?
I did. That's what the problem is. Me too, I did math. I did. I did literature, English literature. I did economics.
You did econ.
I
don't understand.
Yes, but it was the wordy economics. Do you know what I mean? It was
BA economics.
It was
like
was the wordy part. It was the fun. That's the fun part. That's the fun part. An economics degree is not wordy.
So they now gave you econometrics and stuff, and that's when you died.
Bang! No. We need to talk. Wait, you keep using the word feeling. I banged that part.
Econometrics.
Oh, mate. We're laughing now, but at the time, I used to cry to God that, guy, if you made this brain, let's get it popping. It was really, really difficult. But then I also had friends who are doing like some of those modules and were not having the same problems. And so I was just like, so yeah, you done broad. It's interesting to find out at 19. But so that part was really, really tough for me. But then I think that it's unfortunately when you don't develop grit, because I don't think I had enough grit at the time. I think I went into a lot of that part with a defeatist attitude. So I approached the work like, this is already going to be difficult. You're probably not going to pass anyway. I wasn't curious about the work or the material. Every like hurdle was like a mountain. Every single one, even things that weren't, I would burst into tears once so I didn't have a lot of grit.
That's hell on earth, man.
Yeah, approaching that part of my work. But I think that was very, very shocking for me.
So what, it's kind of obvious, but I would want you to just articulate it.
Yeah.
What were the specific emotions you were experiencing?
Shame. There's a lot of shame. I felt very stupid. I felt ashamed. And you know, when you're a teenager, so between 13 and I would say 21, all your emotions are heightened and everything is about you. So failing a module and having a resit was like, it's the end of the world. You're a fool. You're a joker. You're not serious. It was a big part of it was just shame. Like, I'm not getting this thing right. And that's the only, I think that's the word, shame, particularly with school. Like, you know, as a young Nigerian, Olodo is a big,
it's a
big word. And I felt like an Olodo, okay, dummy, right? Especially because
you've been clearing everything up until then.
And then by the time you get to university, there are things about it. There's a lot of independent learning. And so it's that thing of, is it that I've just been taught well, but by myself, I'm not that smart. Like, I can't really figure things out. And then I had also like this slight chip on my shoulder about being somebody that likes like literature and no head for science, no head for maths. So it's not the real kind of smart, it's play smart. Do you know what I mean?
It's not STEM.
It's not STEM smart.
So it's not STEM smart. So it's not right smart.
Yeah. So a lot of that was. I remember there was a guy who was in the room next to mine in our dorm, because Durham had a collegiate system.
Yeah.
So I was in Hatfield College, which is a great college, and there was a guy who was in the room next to me. That was also a shock for my family. I remember my mom getting in and realizing that it was a mixed dormitory. And she was just like, I was like, it's fine. Don't worry about that. But he was studying economics and something. So I remember one day I went to him and I was like, I'm struggling with this thing. And he's just like, that. And he looks at it and he's just like, and he starts writing and he's saying things. I'm hearing the words and they sound familiar.
It's not processing.
I could not understand anything. And I just kept thinking, Jola, you can never make it. You can't make it. So I think there was just a lot of shame and embarrassment around it, and a learned helplessness as well. I will say.
Help. Oh wow!
Yes.
So you're just like.
So just this. I had this attitude in university that I realized was not very helpful. Where I was under the impression that I had to do what people said the way they said. In this context, my parents, right? I didn't understand fully that this is actually my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in retrospect, there are a lot of things that I could have done better that would have helped me. But I had this learned helplessness of being like, if there's a lot of, I was doing all these if onlys. Can you imagine somebody feeling stuck in a room that's not locked? So yes, the door is closed, but it's not like a locked room. You could actually come out. Maybe there's some anxiety there, but I approached everything at the time like I was stuck. And that just wasn't true. So
that's how you dealt with the emotions then?
Yes. And then I changed my degree. The first time it happened, I told the university, like, look, first of all, you have to learn back in. Second, I'm changing my degree. I'll do another degree. I'll do politics and philosophy. I can't.
Did you have to repeat the year?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. And I don't want to say anything that has to do with numbers again. The university was like, so in fact, because Durham can be quite old school, they were like, yeah, fine, sure. Whatever.
That's pretty cool. I know a bunch of people in my
uni
that basically gave
I'm
up
persuasive.
and they just were done with uni.
No. That's not an option in the Ayeye household.
Yeah.
No.
So.
No. But I think that was very somehow.
So what were you've mentioned it, you spoke to university. The question was, what were the specific strategies you utilized to deal with said failure? So speaking to the university, getting into a new program is one thing. But what did you do afterwards then? Like, because you said that there was it's an inflection point. You're thinking about your life.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking about what you're actually interested in. And you were touching on this earlier prior to this actual interview. So what are you thinking afterwards now? It's just like, are you thinking I'm going to go into politics?
No.
Like, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, let me just do degree, sha. Let me just do this degree. And then now start thinking about what I want to do with my life. Yeah. That's really how I thought of it. I was like, I need to get a degree.
Just get out of it.
And let's just do
be
this.
done with it.
Yes, be done with it. There are also, like I told, just very many, my understanding of university was very American-led, like the TV college experience.
How so?
So I thought, I didn't know, which sounds so stupid. I didn't know, like, so the British university system, you choose what you want to do when you're 16 or 17, and that's what you're doing.
Pigeonhole you.
And they pigeonhole you very early. Like in American colleges, like they will take classes. You're doing this class, and then you decide on your major in your second year. Nothing like that. So I realized very early that I wasn't even that interested in whatever it was I was learning. Let me just pass and keep it moving. So when you say strategies, I didn't have. My life will start once I'm done with this degree. Once I've finished this part, right, my life will start.
God. Wow. So that's it. That was the strategy was there was no strategy.
There was no strategy.
It was vibes
Yes.
at that point. It was just like, I need to get through this.
Yes. It was vibes and envying people that I thought were having a much better time of that, because they had more clarity. Like I had, we've had those, everybody has those friends who chose medicine and wanted to be doctors. And at no point in their degree did they think, I don't want to be a doctor anymore. It was just like, oh, this is a bit hard, but I want to be a doctor and I'm working towards this thing. We had friends who would say something like, I'm studying business administration, and people think it's a lazy degree or whatever.
That's what back then. Yeah, this.
Admin. It's a lazy degree or whatever, but I'm going to run multiple businesses. And so it doesn't matter that the accounting module is a bit rough, but I'm going to. So you had people who were, they were just a bit more, or people that would be like, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer. And they would joke when maybe you're having an argument with them. They'd be like, don't worry, in a couple of years, you need me to defend you. So even when the degree was hellish, they wanted to be lawyers, right?
I actually envied those people.
Yes.
Because I just felt like, well, at least you know exactly what you're doing afterwards.
Exactly
Whereas
what
me,
you're
I was
doing.
just like,
Yeah.
I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, I remember someone I met who was studying maths in this hellish degree, and he loved. I had never seen such a thing. He loved it. He enjoyed it, right? He would tutor people. He really enjoyed math, and he wanted to be a teacher.
Oh wow!
But he would joke and say, yeah, for money for the first couple of years, he's going to work in the city. And once he gets to his £1 million net, then he's going to become a teacher.
I mean, he definitely stayed in the city.
No, I don't think he did. Though. I think he did what he wanted to do. I'll go and check Facebook again.
Wow.
But I think but that was his whole thing. Like, I'm going to do my £1 million net. Very like super bougie, upper class white boy. I'm going to do this, and then I'm just going to figure out how to like teach kids that math isn't like the worst thing in the world.
So what were you thinking then afterwards?
I said I've told you my thinking.
No, but when you shall finish the thing. You finished the course.
Okay.
You're like,
that's
what am I going to do with my life? Like,
so at some point,
how did Jola become the Jola people know?
So I was very passive earlier on. I have a deep love and respect for my parents. And my dad just is a guy who knows things, right? In my mind, like, daddy.
You mentioned your dad a lot, and that says a lot. That means he really.
He's my guy. Like, he knows a lot of things. I respect him. So after the first degree, he's like, okay, what of management accounting?
Yeah, he's trying to figure out what.
And I was so meek, and I couldn't back my beef. So I had this, I want to do a creative thing and make a business out of being a creative. But because I was so passive, it wasn't like I sat down and I was doing research about what it takes. And, I had these examples to be like, this person does this. And if I do this type of master's degree, or I go into this program, or, I'm looking for a job in this field, or I have a YouTube channel, something. I didn't really have that. So I was just very meekly saying, Daddy, I think I want to do a film thing. And then he'd be like, let me think about it. He'll go. And unfortunately for me, my dad is a planner and a thinker. This guy will come back to you with a spreadsheet. He'll come back to you with a presentation. And I'm not saying it based on, not just a lecture. Like my dad will have, you sit down in front of his laptop. He has done presentation for you, right? So he's just like, this is what the world looks like now. We are moving, the age of manufacturing, blah, 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 blah. He's telling
the whole
you,
macro.
I'm telling you, and he's explaining to me how, as an accountant, because he's an accountant, you don't look for work. You may not like the job you get to, but you won't look for work, right? And he's talking specifically about management accounting. By the time he finished, I just nodded my head. I said, yes, it's true. So we looked for a management accounting program. And I started doing one in Manchester to work towards like chartered, to become a member of the Chartered Institute of Management Accounting. Do you know what the problem was? I kept passing the exams, right?
Oh.
So I would say to him, guy, I don't like this and I'm not doing well at it, but I'm passing the exams. I'm passing the exams and I'm miserable. I know I'm going to be a shitty accountant. Anybody who hires me is going to regret. Because I could pass the exams, but I couldn't tell you what debit and credit. I learned how to pass an exam, but I didn't understand. And then I was in Manchester. The first year I was in Manchester, 2 of my friends were doing master's degrees, and one was doing the final bits of her ACCA exam. So I had friends, but then they all left. And I was a bit lonely, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Like sometimes they would come visit, all that kind of stuff. Then one day, I'll never forget, I didn't know anybody in my building really. So I would say hi to people once in a while. But the design of the building wasn't one that, and when you're not it wasn't one that encouraged sort of socialization. And then when you're not in university or a learning experience or an office, you don't realize how isolated you can become. And making friends is not easy. And so one day, I fell in my bathroom. My life flashed. I fell in the bathtub. And I can't remember if I, on the way down, quickly held my head or something. But I remember I was just lying down there thinking to myself, okay, if you had actually hurt yourself really badly, what will happen? I don't have anybody I talk to every day. At this point, I don't have a neighbor who's just like, just checking in. Yeah. Not even this building, not even, maybe once every 5-6 days, I see one of my neighbors. So it won't occur to them that something is wrong. But also, even if something is wrong, they don't have my number. They don't knock on my door. We say hi when we see in the hallway. My best friend that I spoke to lived in London at the time. It would take a while for her to be like, let me actually travel and check on Jola. The only person I spoke to every day at the time was my mom. And you can ignore your mom for 3 or 4 days before she'll now say, what's going on? And I was just like, this can't bang. This can't click. I was unhappy. And then I finally now failed the first exam. And quickly and happily told my dad that, Now said, yes, but in life, you're not supposed to get everything easily. And because the exams are cyclical, like it doesn't mean you can't. You just write the next time.
Yeah, the next window.
The next window. And these were still some of the earlier exams. So it wasn't like, this one is once a year or twice a year or 3 times a year. I think they were like, it was once a quarter or something like that. So you could, whenever you are ready. I just thought, wow, this guy is not gonna... He's not really listening.
Where this is post the global financial crisis, it's hard for people to get jobs back then. It's just like people are looking for the safest options for their kids.
So I just thought to myself, okay, what am I going to do? So I had just started. So I really, I mean, streaming was a thing, but not in the same way. And I think that was around the time that Danny TV started. So I could now see exactly what I wanted to do, kind of that world in media. So I think it was Giddy Up and there was Skinny Girl in Transit, and I just thought I can write this stuff. So the thing is, around that time, Zikoko had become a thing, and they were going viral every other day or whatever. And so I used to engage with their stuff, but then also like I'll never forget, I got a message from Shay Taylor.
Okay.
About writing. So the big thing at the time was Rihanna's work video. I know Zikoko used to do listicles.
Yeah.
With just any cultural phenomenon. And now music videos are not a big deal, but at the time, again,
it was
a huge big deal. So the video came out and Shay was like, DM me, I was like, do you want to do a listicle for this and we'll feature it on Zikoko? And I was like, oh, sure. So I quickly did it. And, when we started talking about work and working or whatever. So anyway, the moral of the story is I got a job as Zikoko before I decided that so I was coming for one holiday. So there was a Christmas holiday.
Give us a year. When was this?
I think it was 2015 or 16 I think. I was like, I'm coming to Nigeria for Christmas. This was 2015 Christmas. Was it? Something like that. I can't remember the
14,
particulars. It was either 14 or 15.
Yeah.
I'm coming for Christmas. At that Christmas, I would now tell my dad that, you see, the next time I come home is the final time. Like, I'm not going back and I'm not doing exams. I'm getting a job, etc. The guy just looked at me like I was on crack. He nodded his head. But truly, I was like reiterating it. And so, no, I told him that Christmas.
Okay.
But then the next time I was coming home, I was like, I'm going to come home again this time. But when I come, I'm not leaving again. I said it. He was like, now so you're just maybe a bit lonely, a bit bored. You failed this exam, you think it's the end of the world. But then before that next time, I made sure I got a job. So I had a job for me at Zikoko. Let's say I moved back to Lagos I came back to Lagos on the 1st of March.
Yeah.
I was starting my job at Zikoko on the 14th of March. So I know that my dad would respect like that kind of proactive thing.
He's like, okay.
So I was like, this is what I'm doing. He was like, what is Zikoko? I explained to him. It's like a media company. I'm also going to be trying to write etc. And so he was just like, oh, okay. And I think he kind of felt a bit sorry for me. And he also understood that when life shows her Pepe, she'll realize that accounting is not that bad.
Yeah.
So maybe let her take a couple of months or a year to do this Zikoko thing, whatever it is, right? And then I started working on it. And so that's how my creative career started.
So who would you say were the key protagonists behind your creative career? Like, who helped you become
like actively
or
passively?
Yeah.
Okay, so actively, the first person would actually be Shay Taylor because of the job, right? But then Zikoko I wasn't immersed in tech at all. Still, I'm not. So I didn't understand startup, all these, like, all the language and terminology around it. Zikoko Big Cabal Media was a startup. It had Tech Cabal and it has Zikoko.
Yeah.
And Zikoko was doing well and it was growing. And Shay and Bankole were trying to figure things out. So it meant you too have to figure things out, right? So we have these listicles. You can't go to them with an idea with no way of executing, because they'll tell you that this is not a big media company.
Just get on with it.
You are the one that has to do it. So I remember when we wanted to start doing video. So I went to Shay. I was like, I think we should start doing video. It would be great to do video. You're like, okay, but who will do the video? I said, I have all these ideas on what we can do with video. BuzzFeed already existed and there were a few things. I was like, we can do so many interesting things, because a lot of these listicles, if we make them in video form, YouTube is currently like the holy grail. And he agreed with everything. In fact, he was ahead of me with that because he already wanted to do it. I was like, we just need to find someone that that we can work with that can help with filming and editing. And he was like, okay, but you're going to have to
Pay for it?
not pay, but just
Okay.
figure it out.
Okay.
There's no, I'm not hiring any new head of department.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
So you write your listicles, you make your videos. I was like, sure. And so we started
okay.
doing that. The second person is my friend Larry Rahman. So I had mentioned to Larry in 2013 or something so that's when I started listening to podcasts personally. And I was like, oh, this would be so cool if I had my own podcast. I don't have the discipline or interest in like YouTube videos and like having to edit and make things pretty or all of that stuff. And I lean more into like comedy and creative thinking. Like I like having conversations with people about the world and life. And I just have a funny bent.
You
But
really do.
it would be nice to do that. And we were talking about it in passing. This was in passing. And he lived in Canada, Calgary or something at the time. And I'll never forget, I got mail one day and Larry had sent me like a mic. I still have it at home, right? And it was a really cute note as well, just being like, yeah, this would be great. Like this podcast thing. It was a Blue Yeti, that's what it's called. Yeah. So he bought me that mic. It's still in the study, and he was just like, yeah, And so I actually started recording. But when I played it back, I was like, I'm just rambling into the universe. There's nobody. Like everything I'm saying sounds smart to me, but there's nobody to counter my thoughts, or maybe this thing I'm saying is not even that funny. Like I just felt like I was rambling into the universe, right? And I didn't want to do a solo podcast. I thought it'd be kind of raz. So I put that on the back burner, but I knew I wanted to do a podcast for sure. I just put it at the back of my mind, and then I moved back to Nigeria, started working as the Coco. But this thing, I was like, I really want to do a podcast. It'll be fun to do a podcast. But I don't want to do it by myself. And so I started thinking of who I would want to do a podcast
so you're looking
with.
for your co-founder?
Yeah, pretty much. Like somebody who I would mostly be on the same page with. They are irreverent as well. They have like a good sense of humor. And so I messaged Fake-Kemi. I've known her for a long time. And so I messaged her to be like, hey, I think it'd be great if we did it. But I had this whole spiel. And she's just like, yeah, sounds great. Like, let's find how we'll do it. And that's actually how the podcast started.
Nice.
So in terms of like active creative work, I think a big part of it was Shay Taylor, but then also my parents unwittingly. They didn't mean to. But I was a voracious reader. Like,
yeah, you really do read. I mean, I follow
yes. I mean, now
your
it's
book
not
reviews.
even as much because my attention span is now short because of social media. But there was a time where, like, during holidays, I would be able to read sometimes 2 books a day. Yeah, I was a voracious reader. I was the kid that my parents would say something like, my mom would say, we'll go book shopping if you, don't worry, whatever you need me to do, I'm down. So I had a really big imagination, and I really enjoyed reading, and I enjoyed creativity. And then I really liked film and TV, and so all of that stuff. They didn't mean to, but they didn't sort of like pipe that down either.
So they would be the passive
contributors. Yes, they were passive
Yeah.
contributors. But active, I would say, Zikoko and that tech scene helped because I saw people just doing the things. So coming from, remember we spoke about learned helplessness.
Yeah.
Coming from that attitude of, I would really like to, it would be nice to, this is my dream. If only somebody can just, if I were chanced, if somebody could just spot my talent and just say, we're going to make you a star. You're the diamond in the rough we've been looking for. When you come from having, and you see people just doing stuff, building things, get on with it. Find collaborators if you can't do it yourself. Just get on with it. And so we started asking around. We told our friend Kwe, who was originally, our idea was maybe it should be 3 of us, me, Kemi, and Kwe.
Okay, correct.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was like something that we said, maybe we should be 2 of us and him. So I think we mentioned the podcast thing to him, and Spainlets had a podcast network. So they were like, oh, we should come in for a meeting. We went to their office. We were feeling really cool. We saw plenty young people there. It's like, all we were looking for was somebody to help us with editing, because we just didn't want it to be Raz.
Yeah.
We wanted to have like a sound engineer help. And then we went to the second option, which was Midas Radio. So Midas Radio was like the big dog because they were also Aristocrats Records.
Oh,
and so Burner was
okay,
still under them at the time.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, this, wow,
That's big,
wow,
yeah.
this is who we want to work with. But the thing about Midas is Priye, who's another active participant in my growth, Priye was very big on what do you ladies want to do. He thought we were funny. Priye was more invested in Aristocrats, and then ABA was the Midas guy. ABA is a podcast guy. Mind you, Fekemi and I had no money, no clout, nothing. Instead of us going there humble, we got there, we were like, this is what we want. They were like, oh, so it'll be a weekly podcast. We said, no, nobody wants to hear us talk every week. We'll do it every fortnight.
Oh.
I'm being serious. So we're like, nobody wants to hear us talking every week. We'll do it every fortnight. We'll do it like this, we'll do it like that. And they were just like, whatever. We liked their studio a bit more, and we felt like they were a bit more. So they had the big guns on their side, I guess. So we're just like, oh yeah, we'll do it here. And then they introduced us to a producer that we just liked.
Nice.
We quite liked. And it was no pressure, no fuss. It was a fun thing to do with my friend. It wasn't business. It was, I want to create something fun. And if it doesn't work out, we'll just delete it everywhere and act like it never happened. But it was, and that's how it was. And the first episode we did, I remember I posted it. It got like 3,000 listens.
Oh, wow.
In 24 hours. I was like,
Goodness.
this is really like
It's a
exciting.
thing, yeah.
This is a thing. But that's how it started. It was this fun thing, and at the same time, I had started trying to work in film and television. So the other person who I think was an active participant is my business partner now, John. I met John on Twitter. Actually, yes, I met John on Twitter, and I started following him because, do you remember that Coco concert that was at Eco Atlantic?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
people
I
had to
remember.
walk for ages, and they were all tweeting about it. That was my introduction to John. He was so funny. He was so funny during that thing that I was like, who is this person? So we started talking from there, and then I realized like he used to call himself a raconteur at the time. Like he's a hustler. He would do lots of different, and I just thought it was, again, coming from a place of learned helplessness. I was still in the UK at the time, but John would do things. He'd be like, oh, I'm going to China to do these like import-export stuff.
Wow.
But he was also running like a digital marketing agency, a small one with his friend. And at the time, people had just gotten into doing digital ads. So digital ads were separate from the marketing budget because they didn't treat it the same way at all. So you would get like an advertising agency is getting like a huge budget to do a big ad, but they'll give like an agency like some small chicken change here and there, just do ad that will be running on Facebook. And so John and I had become friends, and I was telling him, oh, I really want to start writing. And then, oh yeah, he thinks I can do it for sure. So how we actually like started working together was I would write skits,
Okay.
and give it to him, and he knew like budding actresses or now skit makers, comedians who wanted to do stuff, and he would tell them like, oh, do you want to? Somebody I know just wrote this $0, just so that I'll be able to say, so I'll at least have things I could tell people I had written. And then he would call me, he'd be like, oh, he's going for a meeting at XYZ bank or XYZ company. They want to do an ad. He'll talk to me, we'll talk through ideas. So he could write it, I'll write it. If it went through, he'll slide me some change here and there. And he was very open. So that's another reason I wanted to work with him. He said, this is what they want to pay. This is how much it will cost us to do. So from the beginning, we just
that's
mind
awesome.
you, I was so enamored by the fact that this is an up and doing person. Like he was just
Getting on with
yes, and me, I just felt like and this is when I was still in England. So when I moved back, I started having that attitude as well. So I was telling people that I'm a screenwriter. I've not written anything before, and that's how I got the Smart Money Woman job. I'll never forget when Lala said, what do you use to write? Cell text or final draft? I said, Microsoft Word. Lala said,
My producer was just saying earlier, it's like, why am I using Word? It's like, nobody uses Word. But
so I remember her being so confused, but RSA had already hired me. Right, so I was like working together. I'm sure Lala would have been like, where did you get, what is this? But I had that sort of like, so that was where it started from, really and truly. And I just started trying and just trying is the only way to explain it. It wasn't a real, at the time I just kept saying I'm a screenwriter. That was my primary thing at the time. I'm a screenwriter. I would hustle like chicken jobs here and there, whatever.
If you were to summarize everything you do now, just bullet points, what is it? Like, what are the things you do? Yeah, like, yeah, that's what
I'm a podcaster.
Yes.
And a screenwriter. And when the spirit hits me, I create content. 3 different things.
Yeah, those are the 3 buckets.
Those are the 3 big.
Those are the 3.
3 big ones. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So with the screenwriting, then you're very familiar. You're very conversant, or you know everyone in that kind of space in Nigeria.
No, not everyone. I know a few people. I don't know everyone. People are still surprised to find out that I write.
I didn't know that.
Exactly.
I didn't.
Yes.
Didn't know
so
that.
the podcast has kind of taken over, like it's the big thing. It's the most popular thing that I do.
But I knew that you were doing a whole bunch of. I was just like, this girl is busy. I know she's just very busy.
In Nigeria, you have to be busy.
You're very, very busy.
If not, hunger will kill you. Yes. Sometimes people will ask me to do like marketing consulting as well.
Makes sense.
If you pay me, I'll do it.
That makes sense.
I will be there.
Depends on the brand,
obviously. Depends on the brand as well. So I do a lot of stuff. I just want to exhaust my capacity and not feel like I'm leaving tons of stuff on the table. Yeah.
So what would you say your 3 key takeaways are to the audience in terms of your failure story and your growth through failure?
The first thing is, and it's a lesson I had in my mind, but it's something that one of my business partners, Durham, always says, you can just do things. There is culturally, and I'll speak specifically as a Yoruba millennial. That grew up with very Christian, in a very specific kind of household.
Likewise.
You sometimes get the impression that you need a lot of permission, a lot of know-how, and a lot of buying to get things done. It's not true. You can do things. And a lot of the time you are not taken seriously because there is 0 effort. Just dreams, imagination, wishes, wants, which are powerful motivators. But I cannot tell how badly you want something if there's 0 effort towards making it happen. So it doesn't matter how many. Now in retrospect, I'm like, every single time I kept telling my dad, I really want to. There was nothing that told this man I really wanted to. There was absolutely not. It was just, I want to. Beyond those words, I would really, really want to.
And then when he saw you doing stuff, when you were coming back, like, I've done this, and you had the plan.
Yeah. And he always jokes that another thing was I wasn't asking him for money. I was working and they were paying me.
Yeah.
So, he was like, do you know what she's... And then sometimes somebody will come up to him and say, I heard Jola's podcast, or I saw her and my daughter told me she wrote this show or she wrote this thing. And he would be like, it's true. She did. But you can actually do things. The second takeaway is you need grit, right? And it's for people that are talented. Very early on, your talent was recognized. So smart. Oh, she's so funny. Oh, she just comes up with things like this. You develop, like you just have smooth, no bumps. So you come up against a challenge and you just constantly having meltdowns. But you need to develop grit. And it's not about not recognizing when something is impossible, or it's realizing that things are not easy. Sometimes including like a thinking process. if you can't see a way out immediately, it doesn't mean there's no way out. It might just be a bit more difficult. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I get what you're trying
But
to say.
I didn't realize like how to develop grit early. And then the third thing is you can also ask. You can also ask. So I remember like when I had to like speak to my university, the thing is I felt like I was between a rock and a hard place because I'm not going to go and start reapplying to university, right? I'm not going to have to explain to my parents all over again. Like I didn't want to go through the humiliation ritual of failure multiple times. So I remember when I was having the meeting, and they said, this is not something we often do. I was so desperate. I said, boy, you do it.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? Like, I wanted to say, and we're not 50 here. It's just me. Like, I know you, like, yeah, you don't often do it. Whatever. Bro,
It's got to be
today, you people will tell me that I'm fine. Today. And the world runs on rules. And there are exceptions to rules. And you don't need to be an exception every time. But you can try to ask for stuff. So sometimes it's about asking for help, asking for better pay, asking for different conditions. When we were doing our first show, we had gotten excited, then we started seeing the bills for locations. And mind you, we wanted to do a show with like 400 people or 300 people. It was post-COVID, so we couldn't even, we wanted to, you couldn't put the seats like super close. You know that time when they were like, the room has to be at half capacity or that
thing,
one
yeah.
thing to thing. So we're like, oh, okay. When we started seeing bills, where do we want to see this money? Mind you, like thieves, we've already collected money from sponsors. So show has to happen, right?
And your production is no joke. I've been to one of those shows. It's work.
Yes, actually, that's how I met you in London.
Yeah, I was like,
so
what
the show,
hell?
and this was the first one, 2021, first one in Lagos. So we were like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then FK was like, she knows someone at Civic Center. Let's ask for. I said, for you want to ask for discount or free for year? I don't think already defeatist in my mind. I was like, but actually, do you know what? We actually have to do this, so let's try. Anyway, the moral of the story is now we now have to go and see the owner.
Wow.
I'm like, hey, God, what are we going to do? What are we even going to say that we're doing in the place? Maybe at least if we're doing church something, they'll be more sympathetic or charity. Oh, what? If they say, oh, what's the podcast? We'll now open this rubbish that we're doing for her. Oh, my heart was beating. And then we go to see her, warm and lovely. So it's just you girls doing this thing. Okay. Fantastic stuff. Fantastic. I just like when people are trying to do things. And she gave us what we asked for.
They're people as
It
well.
was
That's
so-
the thing, yeah.
It was so, and then we were super grateful. We sent her flowers after, and it really but it was the first time I really understood. Because if you're in my mind, we just have to find somewhere else or do something. Like, we don't have options. We don't really have, it was just, I think, and I don't know if this happens to you, but till now, I'm still shocked at what happens when I ask.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't get old.
It doesn't.
It actually doesn't get old, but you have to leave shame, not dignity, but shame
I need to
and
shake your hand on
embarrassment.
that because I really, that's why I got through that.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. So we're done with the failure part.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
You're
and we're going to
welcome.
get to the rapid fire questions.
Okay,
and
perfect.
roll through with it. So the first one is, this one really applies to you.
Okay.
What's one book you'd recommend? One book. Exactly. That is actually, this is very interesting. I want to see what you will say.
Okay, but it's sentimental to me because I remember it's Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda. And it's because of the way I got the book and the way the book made me feel. It was pretty cool. So the same friend who bought me the mic, when we had moved houses, we were there. So he was my first neighbor.
Oh.
We had moved houses, and so we went to visit them. And we're visiting, like the families are gisting, and his dad just jumped up and says, Jola, I got you a book, because everybody knew I liked reading. I got you this book. There's this new young lady. They said she's a writer. I know you love it. Or whatever. I must have been 12 or something.
Oh, wow.
And so he goes and he brings Purple Hibiscus. And I started reading it on the spot. Yes, I started reading the book on the spot. Because there wasn't a lot of contemporary Nigerian fiction. I remember the main character in the book, I think she's 15. So I was about 12. So, and I'll never forget, we then are going home, and I'm trying to use the moon to continue. And I'll never forget my daddy being like, my friend, will you stop that rubbish? You want to spoil your eyes? But I was so engrossed in the book, and I've read it. I try to read it like almost every year to see if it was the childlike thing. And it
still hits.
It hits. And I think, I don't know anybody who didn't, they may not have loved it, but I don't know anybody that didn't like the book.
That always comes up as one of the top ones from a lot of women I know.
Also like creative thinking. And it's nice to read a book that, if you're a young African reader at the time, there wasn't just a lot of contemporary.
They just gave me Things Fall Apart in school.
Novels. Yes, and so you like those, and Arrow of God, and you're reading those books and they're nice, but it feels different
it's a different time.
To connect with, and I thought it was really cool. And so that also was something that entered my mind again that, this is a young Nigerian woman doing a creative thing. So even as a teenager, that just sat somewhere in my brain. And this was before she became like uber famous, and it just sat in my brain and it was locked somewhere, because obviously secondary school, nobody cares, but it was a thing in my mind. And so I think that also just did something in my brain for later. Yeah.
Who inspires you regularly?
My dad.
And you get that one's a very
my dad.
simple one.
He works really hard to be a good person. He works hard to take care of his family. That
will definitely affect your decision in men as well, because that's a very high standard.
No, it's not that. I just don't like men that have nothing doing. Be busy, please. Be busy. But I respect the guy. So it's not just that I like him. You know how people have emotional attachments to their parents? It's not just a love thing. Like, I actually respect, as an individual, I really respect him. Even if he wasn't my dad, I really respect him. We butt heads, but I respect the guy,
What's one skill you think everyone should have?
Yoruba people call it Isheo. And I really regret not having. No, I'm really sad that I never developed
a manual skill.
Yeah. I think it gives you incredible value for work and money, especially with job, the time value as well. I know our society is so lopsided that here we think of those things as like an undignified thing, semi-skilled labor. But I think
especially Yoruba people.
I think if everybody had to work with their hands, we would have a different appreciation for money and time and people's skills, and it would force us to approach more people with respect. I think, like, just the thing it does mentally to know what it takes to get those things done at a low or high level. I think we would speak to people differently. We would treat people differently. We would care about their lives differently. We would advocate differently.
Why is this an answer you gave? Like, what? How did this?
I think about it all the time. In terms, Nigerians talk about hard work. What we often mean is smart work or work that brings money. Hard, backbreaking work in Nigeria is not really respected. But hard work, it's hard. So maybe it's because this morning, like, a plumber had to come and fix some stuff. So over the last 2 days, they've had to break. And after him, the bricklayer and the tiler were in my house this morning. And I was looking at these men and I was like, this is hard work.
To make something
it's
work.
Hard.
Fix it.
It's hard work. So I think about it every time all the things that make your life smoother, like when you eat or you wear clothes the core of it is like really hard work. And I think a vocational skill is also helpful because you're never stranded.
If you weren't in your current profession,
Yeah.
what would you be doing?
I'll probably work in like the
You're not going to be a chartered accountant.
no, but I would work in the marketing department of some sort of company, or the marketing department of a creative endeavor.
Okay.
Yeah,
That makes
I think
sense.
I would do that. I think, yeah, or own a shop.
A
I'm
shop,
Yoruba woman,
selling
yeah.
what?
I don't know. Yoruba women, we like shop. We want to go to the shop. We own a shop.
Gele and whatever.
Gold,
Gold.
provisions. I don't know. Phone. I don't know.
And they'll be selling it along a street where everybody's selling all the same stuff.
Yes. But I'll have my own customers.
You,
Because I'll make them laugh. Yes.
that'll be your USP.
Yes. Now they'll be like that funny auntie that sells.
Okay. What's something you've learned about yourself this past year?
This past year, I'm afraid to deviate from certain thinking. I'm still quite afraid to interrogate a lot of
Traditional
my
thinking?
traditional thoughts or thinking. No, not even that, but like, have you ever had a feeling when you're thinking and you're getting to the logical end of that thought and you don't want to get there? So you just quickly close the door and say, no. Let's not do this. I find that I'm still very anxious to interrogate some of my, like, where did this thing come from? I'm very anxious about it. And I thought I was a lot more free-spirited or more, no, I thought I was braver than that because it takes a type of bravery. I thought I was much braver than that. But I find myself still being like, let's just close that door. I don't think about it now. Yeah.
You really confound me in terms of your background and then how you ended up doing. I'm always confused. It's very, very weird, but it's great.
Thank you.
What's one habit you're trying to build and another you're trying to break?
I'm trying to break my social media obsession. I love the socials. When people speak, I am one of the people you're talking about. All these people that spend all their time on. Yeah, that's me. I'm trying to break my love of social media. I love TikTok. So much fun. And my TikTok algorithm is very chaotic. It's very me. So I enjoy it so much. This is so weird that
you really love social media and
yes.
yet you really love to read as well. And that
it shouldn't
disrupts the other one.
Yeah, it really does. Because anytime that I'm on social media, it's time I could spend reading. Yeah.
And attention span. And all
exactly.
That kind of stuff.
So for instance, I was supposed to read yesterday. I was playing till midnight. Then I started reading a book and slept at 3:30 because I wanted to finish the book.
I read
the whole book.
God.
But no regrets because the TikToks I was watching was so funny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And one habit I'm trying to build is saving money. Oh my God. I act like I am who I'm going to be when I'm 50 already. So I act like a wealthy woman already. I blow money like sometimes it's just, and people, the thing that makes me laugh is other people regret. I do not.
Oh, wow.
I had a blast.
Oh, wow.
I had a good time. Okay? That drink was worth it. That meal was worth it. That trip was worth it. That dress was worth it. That Shoibi was worth it. I don't know what people are talking about. Me, I had a good time. Okay? I might be in penury now, but you should have seen me that day. What a time. But I'm trying to be so much better with like my finances and thinking long term. Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If you could have dinner with a historical figure or anyone, dead or alive,
one historical figure.
Yeah. Dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Steve Jobs.
Interesting.
Because of
the OG marketer.
Yes, but also there's the technical, physical, their goods that Apple is known for, and their marketing is great, the design is great. But this was a creative thinker,
Yeah.
right? And what he decided to acquire, how
Pixar and all that stuff.
yeah, his decision to acquire Pixar. And if you read about how Pixar workshops their films and how they work, it's incredible, right? The amount of process he puts into creative thinking and creative work is one thing. And I just would like to talk to someone who has built who built like an empire off of, yes, there's the technology, but that creative side, people just waited. The man loved music. You don't build Apple Music. You don't build the foundation of what Apple Music is outside of a love for music and creativity. And no offense to them, but you can tell that it doesn't follow through with other things. So you can tell that there is the money to do Apple TV, but there isn't that underlying like love for film that guides it. It's like we have a shit ton of money and we're able to do cool stuff. So why not? It's a rounding error on our balance sheet. So why not?
God, that balance sheet is...
Yeah, but I think I would be very curious to know about his more like creative thinking side. But because my parents will probably watch this, I would also have dinner with Jesus. Okay.
I'm sorry. Interesting. Name one person you would love to collaborate with in any of the fields that you're operating in.
Ryan Coogler.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't. It doesn't even need to be a collaboration. I'll just carry his bag and be following him, just to see how he does what he does. Actually, it has to be more than one. Sorry, there's him, and then there's Reese Witherspoon. So Reese Witherspoon has built...
She's built an actual empire.
Yeah.
Now, right?
Yes. So from her love of books and reading.
What is it specifically again? I forgot.
So she runs Hello Sunshine, and Hello Sunshine has a book club, but they also have a production and film company.
There we go.
But what she did was she workshopped all her films as book club picks. So the reaction and the publicity on the book club. So people didn't know, but she was the one who produced Gone Girl.
Oh.
Yeah, which was a book first. All her things were books first.
I just remember that she made more money from this than she ever did from everything.
They sold the company for over $1 billion.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I was
so
like, what
she's but she really likes books, and she's just I like what she's built off of the creative side of her business, but it is a business. So she's making these films and these series, but she, authors who work with her are selling millions of copies of their books, and they are seeing it made into... She doesn't do a shoddy job of adaptations. And
so this is essentially an example for you in terms of
100%.
North Star in terms of what you would want to do.
100%. I think she's very, very cool. Yeah,
that's what's up. And the last one, what does success mean to you?
It means not checking my account balance. Like, I would like to be pretentious and say it's my parents saying they're proud of me. But my parents made me delusional. My parents have been proud of me since, I learned to sit on the potty myself. Like, they've been proud of me for a long time. I think creatives can get carried away with accolades. So you win an award, or people think your work is cool, but I do think building a strong, healthy business from creativity would make me very, very happy. And building wealth from creativity, not just income, like wealth. That means other people make a lot of money from the creativity that you are into. So it's not just you as the talent making money. It's that you come up with an idea that employs hundreds of people for a section of it, but then there are also people salaried because you figured out how to extract value and present the value in a format that other people then buy into and pay for. So that's what success means to me. All the other, if I said other things, I'd actually be lying. But in this, as a West African, in this climate, success to me means...
In this climate, indeed.
Making valuable arts that people pay for. Yeah.
Wow. That's some powerful image,
Yeah.
man. And some of the people, one of the guests I'm getting next, he would probably say something similar
Oh,
to
okay.
you. He's building something out as well.
Oh, that's
that I'll
cool.
talk about offline.
Yes, of course.
But thank you.
Thank you so
Jola.
much,
This
Sosie. This was fun.
done.
Did I do well?
Was it really fun?
It was. It was. I was anxious about it. But it was fun because I was like, failure story. I'm not a failure.